and then 6 months later, they're $10,000 in debt and getting sued for something.
Hmm.
So, what are some of the mistakes that new entrepreneurs make that they can head off at the pass before they even start?
Yeah, the biggest one is clearance. That's what I call clearance, or what most intellectual property lawyers will call clearance, which is if you start selecting things that you want to use to kind of identify your name or your logo, that sort of thing. Well, yeah, that's great. Do it, but before you start adopting it and using it, do a search. Make sure that someone else is not senior to you is using either the same or a similar mark with same or similar goods or services, because you may just be walking into that cease and desist letter. Doesn't mean if they are same or similar that you cannot use it, but there's more to the analysis. You may need to consult somebody else. But that's what people often fall in love with: name, logo, and they just start using it. That happens. That happens a lot. What else did you see? The other thing that I see a lot is a lot other folks, not necessarily trademarks, the logos, the slogans, the names, but I see people using a lot of others' content without permission, and not, there's no nefarious intent. Sometimes it's just kind of thoughtless, and that can really expose folks to a lot of liability. What you often see is, someone will use they'll just snap some photo, grab some photo from the web somewhere and bury it on their website someplace. And like, that's really cool. Let me use that. Don't really think about the fact that it's somebody else's property. And that's going to be a copyright violation, most likely. And there can be a lot of exposure there, a lot of exposure. And so that gets, I run into that issue a lot. People come to me and say, well, I got this cease and desist. I got this, not just a cease and desist, but a demand for payment for using this photo that I don't even really care about. And now I got a demand for several hundred to sometimes several $1,000s for use of this photo that I never really cared about in the first place. It's just an expensive mistake.
Yeah, I guess because like that you used to be able to get photos off of Google, and now you can't even do that anymore. Maybe that's for the same reason, for trademark purposes.
Well, this is going to be copyright. I mean, photos and images like that, GIFs, stuff like that. Now, those are going to be copyright issues. If they're logos, if these images happen to be logos as well, they may be copyright and trademark problems. So there's some, with photos and things like that, there's some licensing agencies, where you can get a royalty-free license or pay for a license, but there's still dangers there if the rights aren't, really within that house, so to speak, and sometimes they're not. The best thing you can do, of course, is to take your own photographs or really know the chain of title, where it comes from. But it's someplace people really got to be careful. That's where I see a lot of problems. Those two things I just mentioned: not clearing stuff before someone uses it, and this is kind of the same sort of it's a similar principle. Using photographs and other things downloaded from the web without permission, if you didn't create it, that's going to cause a problem.
Okay, now because now as far as social media goes, there's hashtags everywhere. Can a hashtag be copyrighted?
It definitely cannot be copyrighted. Copyright protects something more substantial than a hashtag. What people usually ask is whether a hashtag can be protected by a trademark, or as a trademark. And I guess it's a qualified yes, although in most instances a hashtag cannot. So I would not count on trying to, make a hashtag exclusive to you. And the reason being is the function of a trademark really is to help consumers identify a single source of goods or services. If I see Nike or a swoosh or whatever, I know that that's associated with a particular brand that produces clothing, apparel, shoes, that sort of thing. Hashtags don't tend to do that. The function of a hashtag is really to help guide conversation, group conversation, group posts, that sort of thing. So with that kind of function of a hashtag, yeah, I understand you might have hashtag Nike, but even so, if a lot of people do posts on it, might be hashtag Nike, but there may be posts that are criticizing Nike. It may not be just offering products or services. So, I mean, the hashtag has a larger purpose, not just steering people toward buying goods or services. I know I'm being a little hyper technical here, but
no, but because it's a lot of questions that ever since I got hit with that, now I start thinking, okay, hold on, let me rethink everything that I do before I make the same. And the funny thing is, the guy that had the name supplement guy, I actually became friends with him over that. and I've actually been to his company and had lunch and actually bought some of his products. So now we're actually friends. But I was like, because I was like, I can either be real arrogant about it or humble myself and say, you know what, let's just, you're right, I'm wrong, and let's just drop it. And we drop it.
No, that's a great result. I mean, and when as a person who helps people, others resolve disputes, I mean, that's the kind of outcome when it's warranted and possible that makes you feel good at the end of the day. Most people view so many disputes about, there's binary, who is going to pay who an amount of money to make this thing go away. And we like to think a little more creative than that when we're trying to help people resolve problems.
Now, you've been in the tribe for a while now, right?
Yeah, I did a couple of years anyway.
We're in MIC, right? MIC.
Yeah, I've gone to all the live events, all three of them.
So now, and I always ask these, for people that are part of the tribe, give me your opinions on Stephen Kuhn.
Stephen? Yeah. He's always a ball full of energy and seems to have knowledge in a lot of different areas. Very experienced guy.
And Lane Balone.
Lane's a great guy too. Yeah, Lane is a guy that you can really talk to him just about anything, and he's going to lay some wisdom on you.
Yeah, I love that. So now, enter the conversation because I know you got things to do. 2 questions I ask everybody. First, if somebody's out in California and they want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? Or even if they're not in California.
If they're not, yeah.
Now with the web, there's no.
Whoops, sorry about that little. I got tunes going here. Easy way to get a hold of me probably is email. Although I'm on social media platforms, Instagram, I'm ANelson100. That's a good spot to get me. I think on Facebook I'm ARNelson1, something like that. But I got a great group. I have a group on Facebook, Defending Your Brand. People can find me that way. That's a good way to find me.
Last question. If somebody to do something in 7 days, they're pretty much not going to do it. But if I ask them to take an actionable step in the next 24 hours, they're more likely. So if you know somebody that's struggling in their business, what is something they can do in the next 24 hours to start to right the ship?
Oh, boy. Ask somebody. I mean, if you know somebody who might be able to bring something to bear on your issue, then ask that person. If you don't know somebody who can bring something to bear on your issue, ask others to introduce you to somebody who may be able to bear on your issue. My issue, and this is from personal experience, the thing that I have not done over my entire career, which I regret, is I'm always afraid to ask. I've always been afraid to ask other people for help. Now I'm better about it now because I recognize the issue, but I didn't early on. I always want to try to figure stuff out on my own, and maybe I could, and I often did, but I think I could have benefited from getting a third-party opinion.
I love that. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Richard.
For many years, and I'm just grateful for your friendship.
Likewise, Richard. Likewise.
If you need any kind of legal advice, especially trademarks, copyrights, definitely get in touch with our friend Andy. And your episode will be going out in the next 2 weeks, and I'll make sure that I let you know when it goes out.
Richard, thank you very much for having me on. I really enjoyed the time.
All right, brother. God bless you, and I hope to get to see you at the next MIC.
You can count on it, man.
All right, brother. Bye.
All right, buddy. See ya.